Hey everyone, Double Trader here. In today's video I'm going to walk you through a quick recap of the London Open session. I'll share the context I had before the session, what I was thinking during the move, and how I interpreted price action after everything played out. The goal is to give you a clear view of my thought process, not just the trades but the reasoning behind them. Let's go into it. So the context was price was trading at a daily bullish inversion for value gap, so I was preferring runs on buy side liquidity predominantly, and my specific focus for the London Open session was focusing on false breakouts below sell side liquidity. With that said, let's jump straight into the actual live action. So this was the 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. London Open session. My initial interest was the relative equal highs buy side liquidity to the left, and I was thinking that that's a possible draw, but I noticed that there are relative equal lows further to the left too, which basically made me think, okay, this condition right now is pretty low probability, because it could go either way. It could go to the buy side or it could go to the sell side liquidity. Because I was holding a higher time frame slightly bullish stance, I was preferring to see the sell side liquidity being taken out first. And many times during the live stream I was like underlying that point that I want to see those relative equal lows, or I prefer to see those relative equal lows being taken out first. Then I would be really comfortable with taking some longs towards the buy side liquidity. But price was mostly like messing around, chopping a lot, back and forth, overlapping price action. So these were high resistance liquidity run conditions during the London Open session initially. So basically I was waiting for one side of liquidity being taken out. It happened that the buy side was taken out first, so that was right away not something I was prefer to see, but it happened. So then I was thinking like, all right, so if buy side was taken first, let me like take a look if we will show willingness to run lower towards the sell side liquidity, because it was very smooth. But price wasn't really like showing much interest to go lower. Here I was like noting the Nasdaq, and high resistance liquidity run conditions were present there too. And eventually I noticed that even though the buy side liquidity was initially rated with this week, the price still kind of like maintained smooth relative equal highs. So if I turned off the wicks and only used the bodies, you can see that these were perfect triple relative equal highs. So there was still a lot of buy side liquidity resting above that level here, right? So at this point I was basically like, all right, we are back to 50-50. I'm still waiting for the sell side to be taken out first, and then I would expect the buy side to be taken out with an opportunity, right? So I was waiting for that idea to basically develop, but price was basically like hanging around, chopping the bid a lot inside of this range in here. So back and forth, high resistance liquidity run conditions, it wasn't really obvious or easy what it wants to do at that point. So I was waiting, and all the time that I was waiting, I was thinking to myself that I prefer to see a run on sell side first. But it happened to eventually prove me wrong in that regard, right? So obviously this is hindsight thinking. I was comfortable at that point when the price was back and forth. I was just waiting for one side of the liquidity being taken out and being made jagged first. So all of this, I'm basically just patiently waiting for price to show a sign or a signature that it's more likely to offer a one-sided price run. So around here, the price traded above the buy-side liquidity here on the bodies. And I was thinking like, all right, so let me see if it will offer any potential for a run towards the sell side, because again, it's trading above the buy side first, and the sell side is very smooth too. So I was thinking, let's give it a try. It's a macro 350 to 410. So if price offers proper signatures, I could expect that to see. Nonetheless, I was expecting, or I wasn't willing to be aggressive about it. I was willing to see the lower half of that inversion fair value gap to be respected as resistance, and possibly trade below that lower inversion fair value gap on a closing basis, right? That was basically what I was looking for, and then maybe I could look for a short. But what price will do very soon, it will form an immediate rebalance, and that little signature during this macro time and during the context already gave me that that idea right here. That was the immediate rebalance. It gave me that idea that maybe if this is good, if it's time for the price to run the sell side liquidity, it should do it here. So it can offer, or it can allow me, a very low risk and immediate feedback type of trade entry, where if it stops me out, then I immediately know I'm wrong, offside. But if it's good, it should immediately run too, right? So that's what I was like considering. And right here on this candle, I will be taking a short entry right there. Stop loss above the consecutive encroachment of this discount week, right now premium, but very, very safe stop loss. If this was, or if this were an actual immediate rebalance that was meant to trade below the sell side, it should deliver like that. But nonetheless, price failed to post a close below the inversion fair value gap that it was trading inside of here right now. So it traded to the lower half, but then it failed to close, and that was generally an initial red flag that I was like having in my mind. But nonetheless, I just stick to the idea that if it stops me out here, I get the immediate feedback and I'll be fine with it, right? So nonetheless, that was one micro, very small risk, $10 only. So pretty reasonable, I would say, to get a feel for the price action. So right away at this point, I was technically doing something against what I was intending to do initially, in terms of like the higher time frame idea that I had of potential run higher. And right here it stops me out on that immediate rebalance, and I basically knew that I'm offside most likely, and it's either going to go the other way or it will consolidate, right? But because it's macro, because it did already a lot of chop, it was actually going and trading higher. Nonetheless, there were relative equal highs on buy side liquidity right there, and I was thinking like, all right, so it's probably going to take them out, right? That was my thinking, but that wasn't enough range really for me to like chase it at this point. So I just said that I pass on it, and then it did the run on the buy side, but not only that, price expanded over 20 handles or so in 2 minutes, reaching a 15-minute week consecutive encroachment that I annotated earlier. So yeah, that was basically the moment in time where I was pretty much done for the London Open session. At this point I didn't knew what it will do, but I kept in mind that the sell side liquidity here is still intact and it's still very clean. So that was kind of like the idea, where I would prefer to see a run, but nonetheless at that point I didn't knew. So I just ended the session with that. At the end, little summary for the sake of transparency, and see you next time in the next video.